सारे कार्यक्रम को इस सारे कार्यक्रम को अच्छे से और ऑर्गेनाइज करने के लिए हमारी महत्वपूर्ण बीका टीम का आशीष और बीका के सारे कर्मी जो इस आयोजन को सफल बनाने के लिए हर वक्त तत्पर हैं। आज बिहार प्रवेशन दिवस के गौरवपूर्ण अवसर पर मैं बीका की ओर से आप सबों को हार्दिक शुभकामना देता हूं। पहली बार 2019 में 15-16 जून को हम लोगों ने फिजिकली बीका में इस कार्यक्रम का आयोजन किया था, जो काफी सफल रहा। मैं पहले भी बोल चुका हूं कि जब कभी भी हम लोग कहीं किसी सेमिनार में एक दो बार सर आईजी सर के साथ जाने का मौका मिला तो सर प्रिजन के विषय में पूछते कि ना पूछते, लेकिन प्रोबेशन सर्विस को कैसे आगे बढ़ाया जाए इस संबंध में जरूर विभिन्न राज्यों से सर का एक क्वेरी रहता था कि उस राज्य में कैसे प्रोबेशन की क्या स्थिति है हमारे, ताकि बिहार में भी उसी के अनुकूल प्रोबेशन को और आगे बढ़ाया जा सके। इसी कड़ी में सर के द्वारा 2019 में पहली बार हम लोग नेशनल लेवल का सेमिनार आयोजित किए, जो काफी सफल रहा। हम लोग सभी जानते हैं कि प्रोबेशन आपराधिक न्याय प्रणाली का एक महत्वपूर्ण भाग है। इसके लिए या इसकी उपयोगिता को सुनिश्चित करने के लिए महानिरीक्षक महोदय का सतत प्रयास रहता है। इसी क्रम में जब कभी भी प्रोबेशन की बात उठती है तो सर का हर वक्त एक कैसे हमारी ये सेवा और मजबूती की ओर बढ़े, सर इस दिशा में प्रयास करते हैं। अभी कुछ दिन 12 सैटरडे को प्रोबेशन का आदरणीय गृह सचिव सर के अध्यक्षता में चिंतन शिविर भी हुआ था, जिसमें भी बहुत सारी बातें निकल कर आई जो कैसे प्रोबेशन सेवा को और मजबूत किया जाए। ये बड़ी खुशी की बात है कि जब कभी भी इस तरह का आयोजन होता है उसके लिए बीका को इस तरह के आयोजन को करने का अवसर मिलता है। ये हम लोगों के लिए बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण क्षण होता है कि हम लोग इस तरह के आयोजन को करते हैं और इसे सफल भी बनाते हैं। कभी कभी तो बहुत ही शॉर्ट टाइम पर हम लोगों को इस तरह के कार्यक्रम को सफल करने का मौका मिला है और हम लोग सफल भी हुए हैं। इसके लिए हमारी बीका की टीम जो दिन रात मेहनत करती है वो धन्यवाद के पात्र है। मैं इस कार्यक्रम में आज हमारे विभिन्न राज्य से प्रोबेशन सेवा के जो प्रतिभागी जुड़े हैं उनका मैं हार्दिक अभिनंदन करता हूं। और आपने इतने कम सूचना पर, इतने अल्प सूचना पर इस कार्यक्रम में अपनी सहभागिता दिखाई, इससे इस कार्यक्रम का एक अलग गौरव बढ़ा है। मैं आज के शेड्यूल के हिसाब से 3 बजे से विभिन्न राज्यों के प्रोबेशन पदाधिकारी से एक संवाद का भी आयोजन होना है, जिसमें हम सबों से अनुरोध करेंगे कि आप अपने महत्वपूर्ण सुझाव दें। क्या बेस्ट प्रैक्टिसेस आपके यहाँ हैं, ताकि बिहार में भी बिहार प्रोबेशन सेवा को आगे बढ़ाने के लिए उन बेस्ट प्रैक्टिसेस के माध्यम से हम लोग आगे बढ़ें। हमारे आज के दोनों वक्ता, उनसे भी हम बहुत कुछ सीखेंगे और प्रोबेशन को सेवा को बेहतर बनाने के लिए हमें उनके आज के दिए गए इस कार्यक्रम में उनके द्वारा जो चीजें रखी जाएंगी उसको भी हम लोग कंपाइल करके और प्रोबेशन को आगे बढ़ाने की दिशा में जो सुझाव होगा उसको हम लोग एक कंपाइलेशन के रूप में ले चलेंगे, समर्पित करेंगे, डिपार्टमेंट को देंगे कि इस पर आगे हम लोग क्या कर सकते हैं और कैसे कर सकते हैं। तो आज इस अवसर पर मैं आप सबों का पुनः बीका की ओर से स्वागत करता हूं। धन्यवाद।
शुक्रिया निदेशक महोदय। अब मैं आमंत्रित करना चाहूंगा निदेशक प्रोबेशन चर्या कारा एवं सुधार सेवाएं पटना महोदय अपने संबोधन के लिए आए। सर।
परम आदरणीय महानिरीक्षक महोदय, संयुक्त सचिव महोदय और हमारे इसका सर शुभ्रा सन्याल मैडम, बीका के निदेशक महोदय, उप निदेशक महोदय, विभिन्न भारत देश के विभिन्न राज्यों से जुड़े प्रोबेशन सेवा के पदाधिकारीगण, बिहार राज्य के प्रोबेशन सेवा के पदाधिकारीगण, मैं राम सुरेश प्रसाद शाह, बिहार राज्य प्रोबेशन सेवा के निदेशक के रूप में आप इस प्रोबेशन दिवस के अवसर पर आप सबों को शुभकामनाएं। जैसा कि आपको ज्ञात है कि बिहार प्रोबेशन ऑफ ऑफेंडर्स एक्ट 1958 भारत सरकार द्वारा पारित किया गया। बिहार राज्य में इसे लागू करने के लिए बिहार प्रोबेशन ऑफ ऑफेंडर्स रूल्स 1959 बनाकर 15 जून 1959 से इसे बिहार राज्य में लागू किया गया। और इसी अवसर पर विगत 3 वर्ष देश के अनुरूप बिहार राज्य में प्रोबेशन दिवस को मनाया जाता है। जून बिहार प्रोबेशन सेवा के लिए अविस्मरणीय दिवस है। ऐसी कोई भी सेवाएं मेरे स्मरण में तो नहीं है जिनकी स्थापना दिवस मनाई जाती हो। महानिरीक्षक महोदय की दूरदर्शितापूर्ण निर्णय से प्रोबेशन सेवा को मनाया जाता है, के द्वारा प्रोबेशन पदाधिकारियों को गौरवान्वित किया जा सके, ताकि वे नए जोश खरोश से पूरी अपनी क्षमता का उपयोग करते हुए प्रोबेशन सेवा के कार्यों को आगे बढ़ावा दे सके। प्रोबेशन सेवा एक महत्वपूर्ण सेवा है। हम प्रोबेशन पदाधिकारी एक विशिष्ट पदाधिकारी है। सरकार हमें वेतन देती है और जन कल्याण का कार्य हमसे लेती है। हम समाज सुधारकों की श्रेणी में आते हैं। कोई भी व्यक्ति बीमारी और मुकदमे से ही परेशानी अनुभव करता है। बीमारी का इलाज तो डॉक्टर करते हैं और मुकदमे होने पर परेशान व्यक्ति को प्रोबेशन पदाधिकारी राहत प्रदान करते हैं। इसीलिए हम सामाजिक डॉक्टर के रूप में भी जाने जाते हैं। जब हम समाज के रोगग्रस्त अभियुक्तों को में सुधार लाकर उन्हें समाज में पुनर्स्थापित करते हैं, इसीलिए हम समाज सुधारकों की श्रेणी में आते हैं। प्रोबेशन पदाधिकारी जब मुकदमे से परेशान किसी व्यक्ति के दरवाजे पर जाता है और कहता है कि मेरे द्वारा जांच करने के उपरांत दिए गए जांच प्रतिवेदन के पश्चात आपको जेल जाने की नौबत नहीं आएगी, आपके किशोर बच्चों को मेरे प्रतिवेदन के आधार पर जमानत मिल जाएगी या उनका केस समाप्त हो जाएगा, आपके परिजन जेल में बंद हैं उनको पेरोल मिल जाएगा और आजीवन कारावास के बंदी को समय पूर्व रिहाई मिल जाएगी, तो वे आपको एक अवतरित देवदूत के रूप में जानते हैं जो स्वयं प्रकट होकर आप उनकी सहायता करने के लिए उनके दरवाजे पर पहुंचे हैं। और जब आपके प्रतिवेदन के आधार पर उनको लाभ मिलता है तो वे आपको दुआएं देते हैं। यह इस प्रकार की दुआएं मेरे समझ से अन्य सेवाओं में नहीं। सरकार हमें वेतन देती है और हम जन कल्याण का काम करते हैं, अच्छा वेतन, अच्छी सुविधाएं और बोनस में दुआएं। अब हमें भी उसके अनुरूप कार्य करना है, हमें आत्ममंथन करना है कि हम इस प्रोबेशन दिवस को एक संकल्प दिवस के रूप में मनाएं। हमको अपने आप को पहचानना है, हमें हमारे पास इतनी क्षमता है कि हम समाज के खराब अंगों को में सुधार लाकर उन्हें समाज में पुनर्स्थापित करें। सरकार हमें इतना वेतन देती है, इतनी सुख सुविधाएं देती है। महानिरीक्षक महोदय के प्रयास से, उनकी कृपा से पूरे राज्य को नए भवन मिलने लगे हैं। पटना में और भागलपुर में नए आधुनिक सुविधाओं से युक्त नए भवन में से कार्यालय संचालित हो रहे हैं। आज दरभंगा प्रक्षेत्रीय जिला प्रोबेशन कार्यालय का भी कार्यालय प्रवेश है और भी कई आपके निर्माणाधीन कार्यालय हैं। और महानिरीक्षक महोदय की योजना है कि प्रत्येक कार्यालयों को उनका कार्यालय दे दिया जाए। कार्यालय भवन तो कार्यालय में प्रत्येक कार्यालयों को वाहन तो पहले से ही उपलब्ध है, सभी प्रत्येक कार्यालयों के लिए CUG सिम उपलब्ध कराई गई है। बाकी पदाधिकारियों को भी CUG सिम उपलब्ध कराने की प्रक्रिया प्रारंभ है। प्रत्येक कार्यालयों को LDC भी दिए जाने की का फाइल बढ़ा हुआ है। अब हमारे पास लगभग सारी सुविधाएं हैं, फिर भी महानिरीक्षक महोदय के प्रयास से और आपको सुविधा प्रदान करने के लिए सचिव गृह महोदय के अध्यक्षता में चिंतन शिविर का आयोजन किया गया ताकि प्रोबेशन को और आगे बढ़ाया जाए। हमारे महानिरीक्षक महोदय ने प्रोबेशन सेवा को आगे बढ़ाने के लिए बहुत प्रयास किया है। प्रोबेशन सेवा के डायरेक्टर के रूप में हम उनके कृतज्ञ हैं, लेकिन हमारा भी कुछ कर्तव्य है। हम भी प्रोबेशन सेवा की सारी सुख सुविधाओं को प्राप्त करते हुए कुछ कार्य इस तरह से करें कि प्रोबेशन सेवा बुलंदियों तक पहुंच सके। हमारा काम क्या है? कोर्ट न्यायालय संपर्क करना। न्यायालय संपर्क करने जब हम जाते हैं तो माननीय जज महोदय हमें बड़े आदर से बिठाते हैं, बहुत अच्छी तरह से बातें करते हैं और एक कप चाय भी पिलाते हैं और हमारी बातें बड़ी धैर्य से सुनते हैं और हमें जांच आदेश देते हैं। तो वहां जाने से हमें कोई संकोच नहीं होनी चाहिए, वह हमारे पार्ट ऑफ ड्यूटी है। उसके बाद हम लोग आज संकल्प लें जो प्रत्येक माह में कम से कम 20 इंक्वायरी हम न्यायालय से लावें, उसको करें और समय पर प्रतिवेदन दें और प्रोबेशन सेवा को आगे बढ़ावें। हमारा कोई बहुत बड़ा विशाल काम नहीं है, बहुत आसान काम है। कुछ एक जांच प्रत्येक माह कर लेनी है और निश्चिंत हो रहना है, जांच कर लेना है, प्रतिवेदन देना है। कोई बहुत ज्यादा अन्य सेवाओं की तरह कोई बहुत ज्यादा टेंशन नहीं है हमारे, और बदले में हमें लोगों की दुआएं मिलती है। मैं विगत 31 वर्षों की सेवा में 11 वर्ष भागलपुर में रहा। विगत 4 वर्षों से मैं प्रधान प्रोबेशन पदाधिकारी के रूप में भागलपुर में कार्यरत रहा हूं। 2016 से 2020 अगस्त तक मैंने प्रधान प्रोबेशन पदाधिकारी के रूप में भी कोई भी कार्य करने से अपने को पीछे नहीं रखा है। प्रत्येक वर्ष लगभग 250 इंक्वायरी मैंने की है। 4 वर्षों में लगभग 1000 इंक्वायरी की है, और उसी इंक्वायरी और लोगों के कल्याण के बदौलत मैं 62 वर्ष प्रोबेशन सेवा के वर्षों के इतिहास में मैं वैसा प्रथम पदाधिकारी हूं जो प्रोबेशन के चारों पदों पर मैंने कार्य किया है। मैं प्रोबेशन पदाधिकारी, प्रधान प्रोबेशन पदाधिकारी, उप निदेशक और वर्तमान में निदेशक का भी कार्य कर रहा हूं। हमारे पूर्ववर्ती डायरेक्टर साहब श्रीमान लियोनार्ड टिर्की डायरेक्ट पीपीओ में बहाल लगा था। हमारा तो प्रोबेशन पदाधिकारी के रूप में कार्य करने का बहुत ही अच्छा अनुभव रहा है, और हमारे पीपीओ जो सोचते हैं कि हमें सिर्फ निगरानी कार्यालय की निगरानी करना है, कार्य की अधिकता होने पर मैं उनसे आग्रह करता हूं कि वे भी एकदम इंक्वायरी में भिड़ जाएं। और अंत में मैं प्रोबेशन पदाधिकारियों को प्रोबेशन माइंडेड होकर अपना कार्य करने के लिए उनका आह्वान करता हूं। हमारे बड़े पदाधिकारी गण इस 1 महीना में उप निदेशक और निदेशक के रूप में कार्य करने के दौरान मुझे अपर मुख्य सचिव महोदय, सचिव गृह महोदय के साथ भी मीटिंग करने का सौभाग्य प्राप्त हुआ, और उन लोगों के कार्य को देखकर मैं काफी प्रभावित हुआ हूं। और हमारे महानिरीक्षक महोदय के बारे में तो कुछ कहना सूरज को दीपक दिखाने के समान है। इसीलिए क्योंकि वे संभवतः प्रथम ऐसे महानिरीक्षक हैं जो भारत देश के सभी प्रोबेशन पदाधिकारियों को परिचित हैं, और उनके बारे में भारत देश के सभी राज्यों के प्रोबेशन पदाधिकारी उनका गुणगान करते हैं। तो हमें इतने अच्छे पदाधिकारी, इतने अच्छी टीम मिली है, इतने अच्छे बड़े पदाधिकारी मिले हैं। हमें और मेहनत करके इस प्रोबेशन सेवा को उज्जवल बनाना है। जय प्रोबेशन, जय बिहार, जय हिंद।
शुक्रिया निदेशक प्रोबेशन चरिया महोदय। निश्चित ही वर्तमान महानिरीक्षक कारा एवं सुधार सेवाएं महोदय ने प्रोबेशन संवर्ग की आधारभूत संरचनाओं के विकास कर प्रोबेशन सेवा से संबंधित पदाधिकारियों को प्रोत्साहित किया है, और यह निश्चित ही बिहार प्रोबेशन सेवा के उत्थान के लिए टेक ऑफ स्टेज कहा जाएगा। अब मैं संयुक्त सचिव सह निदेशक प्रशासन महोदय से आग्रह करूंगा कि वो हमें संबोधित करें। सर।
आदरणीय महानिरीक्षक महोदय, प्रोबेशन डायरेक्टर साहब, बीका की पूरी टीम, हमारे विशिष्ट अतिथि के रूप में, विशिष्ट वक्ता के रूप में जुड़े हुए रेस्पेक्टेड डॉक्टर विजय रघुवंश साहब, मैडम डॉक्टर सुभ्रा सन्याल जी साहब, मैडम, विभिन्न राज्यों से जुड़े हुए प्रोबेशन के पदाधिकारी, जयप्रकाश दास जी जिन्होंने इसके आयोजन में अपनी महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका निभाई है, हमारे सभी प्रोबेशन पदाधिकारी जिन्होंने अपने बहुमूल्य समय से इस आज के आयोजन को सफल बनाने के लिए अपना योगदान दिया है, आप सभी का हम अभिनंदन करते हैं। और आज प्रोबेशन दिवस के अवसर पर हम एक वेबिनार के माध्यम से एक डिजिटल छत के नीचे सभी लोग जुटे हैं, ताकि इस दिवस को एक महत्वपूर्ण दिवस के रूप में हम सेलिब्रेट करें और आज कुछ नए संकल्प लें, कुछ नए दिशा निर्देश तय करें। और आने वाले समय में हम अपनी भूमिका को बेहतर बनाएं। मुझे इस विभाग में आए हुए अभी महज 2 माह हुए हैं और मैंने देखा, चिंतन शिविर में देखा, आप लोगों के संचिकाओं के माध्यम से कार्यों को देखा, विभिन्न न्यायिक पदाधिकारियों से संपर्क के समन्वय के दरमियान पता लगा। मुझे लगता है यह प्रोबेशन पदाधिकारी वही होते हैं जो पूर्व जन्म में कोई बहुत पुण्य का कार्य करते हैं, क्योंकि आपके हाथ में जो दायित्व दिया गया है, आपको जो सरकार ने वेतन के साथ पुण्य करने का कार्य भी दिया है, और जो दायित्व आप कारा प्रशासन और न्याय प्रशासन के बीच में कड़ी के रूप में निभाते हैं, वह निश्चित रूप से बहुत ही सराहनीय है और समाज में उसकी बड़ी इज्जत भी है। हम लोगों ने पिछले दिनों देखा कि किस तरह से प्री सेंटेंस में आप अपनी भूमिका निभाते हैं और किसी भी अपराधी को, एक पहली बार अपराध करने वाले को आदती अपराधी बनने की जगह उसे कुशल रिसोर्स पर्सन के रूप में आप समाज में स्थापित करते हैं। साथ ही नए रोल में आप लोगों को पुनर्वास के बारे में भी कार्य करना है और अन्य चीजों को भी आपको देखने की बात हो रही है। नए प्रिजन मैनुअल में आप लोगों को कई नई जिम्मेदारियां देने की बात है। आज के इस वेबिनार में हमारा अनुरोध होगा कि बदलते परिवेश में, जाहिर है यह एक्ट काफी, यह एक्ट 1958 का है और रूल भी बना हुआ है 59 में। कई सारी चीजों, न्याय व्यवस्था में कई परिवर्तन आ गए हैं, कारा व्यवस्था में भी कई परिवर्तन आ गए हैं। तो हम लोगों को, हम आग्रह करेंगे आज के वक्ताओं से कि आज के वेबिनार में हम उन विषयों को समाहित करें जिससे वर्तमान परिवेश में प्रोबेशन पदाधिकारियों की धारदार भूमिका को कैसे रेखांकित किया जाए, कैसे हम उनके कार्यों को बेहतर तरीके से उनका मूल्यांकन कर पाए, उनके कार्यों को और ज्यादा समाज में वैल्यूएबल बना सकें। समय कम है, मैं आप लोगों से मेरा आग्रह ही होगा, हम लोग जुड़े रहेंगे, हम लोग सुनेंगे अपने विशिष्ट वक्ताओं को भी। विभिन्न राज्यों के प्रोबेशन पदाधिकारियों से भी आग्रह होगा कि उनके भी जो विचार हैं, उनके यहाँ जो बेस्ट प्रैक्टिसेज हैं, जो अच्छी चीजें हैं, वो हम लोगों से शेयर करें, हम लोग भी करेंगे। और हम लोग आज के इस दिन को, ऐतिहासिक दिन को, प्रोबेशन के बारे में एक महत्वपूर्ण निर्णय के रूप में, महत्वपूर्ण दिवस के रूप में सेलिब्रेट करेंगे। सब लोगों को बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
शुक्रिया और आभार संयुक्त सचिव सह निदेशक प्रशासन महोदय। अब मैं अनुरोध करूंगा आदरणीय महानिरीक्षक कारा एवं सुधार सेवाएं बिहार पटना महोदय से। सर, आप अपने संबोधन हमें करें।
थैंक यू अभिनव। डायरेक्टर बीका जरा बताएंगे दूसरे राज्यों से कितने लोग जुड़े हुए हैं इसमें?
अभी टोटल सर 92 है और कुछ देर पहले तक 5 स्टेट से लोग जुड़े थे सर, दिल्ली, तेलंगाना, केरला, चेन्नई एंड झारखंड सर।
अच्छा, मुझे लगता है फिर इंग्लिश में बोलना चाहिए। ओके,
अभी 1-2 लोग और जुड़े हैं और देखते हैं सर टोटल कितने लोग
ठीक
हैं।
ठीक।
अभी टोटल 92 पार्टिसिपेंट्स हैं
100 कर लीजिए इसको
सर।
सबसे पहले तो प्रोबेशन दिवस की सभी पदाधिकारियों को बधाई। एंड आई वेलकम ऑल द पार्टिसिपेंट्स in this national webinar, especially those my friends from other states, Telangana and Kerala, Madras. I was reading some report from CHRI in which it was mentioned that in 1936, Madras was the first state who adopted Probation Act. And later on in 1958, Government of India has adopted this act. So in that way, Madras state is very pioneer in this one. Since last 3 years, we have started this celebrating of the Probation Day. So it is very right day to remember all of us regarding John Augustus, who is remembered as father of the probation. And if we can emulate some percentage of his ideology, some percentage of his belief in the mankind, that man or a person can be amended, a person can be cured, a person can be reformed, this ideology and this service will do excellent work. So remembering John Augustus for his formulation and foundation of probation activities, today I would like to emphasize a very few points. This is the first time that today we will publish a annual report of the probation. In the Probation Act and rule, it is mandated that every year probation report should come out, highlighting the achievements of the probation. Since last 2 years, we were unable to do this, but this year we are producing a report. I hope this report will help everyone to understand the functions of the probation as well as our achievement. I especially thank Abhinav, who has put his all efforts with his team to make this dream come true, that probation report is there. Today at 3 p.m. it will be unveiled. We are in the way to create a probation wing in the BICA also. So those who are interested in the research, those who are interested in the teaching, those who are interested in the academic work as well as doing the correctional work, they are most welcome. So very soon we will establish within this month only, we will establish a probation wing, like it was open prosecution wing in the BICA. And based on the last Chintan Shivir, very soon we are going to designate our probation officer as rehabilitation officer as well as aftercare officer. We are going through the literature, we are going through the act and rules. We will do this very soon. So what is the learning point for today? That all probation officers should be more inclined to the probation work, to the rehabilitation work, as well as the aftercare services. And in that, these three works, psychology will be very helpful for you. The more understanding of the psychology, the more understanding of criminal psychology as well as the victim psychology will help you to understand the working nature and human behavior. So this seminar, today's webinar is just to celebrate the day, and I wish to have another 2 or 3 days national seminar regarding the best practices of the probation in the country. Earlier we have done with the TIS, that rehabilitation work. We have got so many inputs and ideas from there, and this is time to act on that one. But before, I would like to, BICA should take this responsibility to organize a national seminar of 3 days, maybe 2 hours on or 3 hours online, regarding best practices of the probation in the India. Which state is doing what the good things that should come on this forum. Today I'm very happy to announce that already we have completed our 9 buildings of the regional probation offices, and 20 more buildings will come out very soon. That proposal is in the final stage. This cadre is having some 100 officers. Out of 188 posts created, 100 officers are there, and these 100 officers can do miracle in the field of criminal justice system. Whatever you are doing, some reports, some articles, some things should come out in the publication. If there is no public, will not come to know what we have done. Since today we are starting our annual publication of the report, what is annual achievement, I would like each one of you should write a monthly report regarding your works. Whatever you have experienced, a jail superintendent or a judge never can experience, because they are sitting in their chambers. You are going to the field, you are meeting the family, you are meeting the neighborhood, you are meeting the even victims. So your experience will be more eye-opener, as well as it will more close to the reality. So some new 36 officers also have joined the service. When they will join the department, I hope the service will also gain more strength, as well as you will go get the more prominence. The work you have done last year regarding telephone verification is very marvelous. I congratulate each one of you that due to your verification process, Bihar could achieve a very significant increase in the numbers of telephone callings from the prisons. Since COVID time, we have stopped the physical mulakati. So this great work of verification of the phones, prisoners are enabled. They have been enabled by you to get in touch with their family. So these are the good things you should, and you should come forward to do more work, more research work, because this field is, I think it is very untapped. We have done enough of the custody work. We are very prominent in the care work also. We are also trying to do whatsoever we have the information about the correctional work. But this rehabilitation and aftercare work is totally with you. If you will work and if you will show the enthusiasm to work in that direction, prison department definitely can excel in this aftercare as well, rehabilitation activities. On this day, I congratulate each one of you of your successful that we have celebrated. This is the third year. In mathematics, we assume that if a point is there, it can just symbolize its existence. If 2 points are there, they are showing a line that will show the direction. But if 3 points are there, they can make a plane. And that plane you got, that is the background. I hope in coming days, probation service will do its excellent work. People will recognize. And this year it was very surprised that those selected in Bihar Public Service Commission, even the toppers have opted for probation service. This is the recognition of your service. This is the recognition of your work. And we should promise to ourselves that in coming days, we should excel ourselves. We should give maximum to the service. We should give maximum to the society. So society can be benefited. I welcome all the speakers today. I welcome all the participants today. And I hope this day will give us a more resolution. This day will give more motivation to do good work in coming days. Thank you very much. Welcome to Professor Raghavan. Welcome to Dr. Shobha Sanyal. And we will listen to them. I will be there in all the proceedings. Maybe not from this screen, but I will be there. And I hope to learn something from you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. One more happy moment being attached with today's webinar. Few newly recruited, sir, a few newly recruited are also connected with today's webinar, sir. This webinar will certainly be the motivating factor for the service which they have to join. Now, I welcome Professor Vijay Raghavan, sir. It's our great pleasure that he has accepted our invitation. Sir.
Thank you so much, Abhinav ji. Thank you, Mr. Mishra, for inviting me for this very important webinar that is being organized by the Bihar Department of Prisons and Probation Services. It was also very nice to listen to all the developments that are taking place in Bihar with regard to probation services, appointment of number of new positions in the probation department. I think it's very heartening because as I have said earlier also, there are 2 states right now which are doing a great revival of probation services in the country, one of which is Bihar, and the other one that I'm aware of is Kerala. And these are the 2 ends of the country, and they are really showing the way to the rest of the country that what is it that is possible if one is really wanting to improve probation, which will ultimately lead to a great reform in the criminal justice system. So thank you for allowing me to share my thoughts with you. एक clarification है मेरा, अभिनव जी, अगर आप बता सके, should I speak in English or should I speak in Hindi?
Sir, English ही ठीक रहेगी since
okay.
Can be bilingual, sir.
Okay, I'll try and do it bilingual. I have been asked to talk today about the role of interdepartmental coordination in community-based rehabilitation and the role of probation in this context. So I'm going to start with some kind of a discussion on what are the factors which impact the whole rehabilitation process. Who is it that probation is ultimately aimed at? And therefore, what are the factors that we need to look at? Who are we talking about? So we are talking about a person, could be a man or a woman, or it could be a trans person. And this person has been arrested for violation of some law, criminal law in particular. And this person is in custody right now and is likely to be either discharged or acquitted at the end of a trial, or is likely to be convicted because of the evidence that is presented before the court. In terms of the offenses, again, there is a range of offenses for which this person has been arrested. Right from the pettiest of cases like theft of railway property under the RPF Act or the RPUP Act, to really serious offenses, including gang rape and terrorism and NDPS related matters. So there is a huge range that we are talking about of cases for which people have been arrested. Also, in terms of the socioeconomic profile, while majority of the prisoners that we encounter in our prisons come from the most marginalized sections of society. In fact, the NCRB crime prison statistics India report tells us that more than 85% of prison population are from SC, ST, OBC and Muslim community. In terms of socioeconomic income category, again, you will find that more than 80% or maybe even more are coming from the poorest sections of society. Large sections of them might be even coming from the below poverty line category. But it does not mean that the prison does not have prisoners who come from a better family background or from a better income background. There are prisoners who come from extremely influential and well-off and rich family backgrounds as well. So then when he's talking of this huge range in terms of age, again, it is from 18 onwards, still people who might be inside may even be 80, 90 years old. We have come across people in prisons who have crossed the age of 90. So we are talking of a huge range in terms of age, in terms of socioeconomic background, in terms of income, in terms of family support, in terms of education. Again, here you will see that more than 60% would be below 10th class, but then there are PhDs also in prison. So again, you will find that there is a big range in terms of the education background. So within this large category of people who are in prison, it's a mixed group consisting of first-timers, under trials, habitual offenders, people from criminal gangs, politicians, economic offenders, etc., etc. Where does one focus as a probation officer? So obviously, our focus has to be on those who do not have family support, who do not have proper social supports, who are not aware of their legal rights, who come from a poorly educated background, and who have a feeling of some kind of a, I won't say repentance, it's a very strong word, but some feeling that they want to reflect upon their life situation. So this is the broad category within which the probation officer's job becomes important. If the probation officer approaches people who are either because of their offense background or because of their socioeconomic situation or because of their mental makeup, are not interested in getting any kind of change in their life after they come out from the prison process, then the probation officer can do very little in that situation. And at the end of the day, who is the probation officer we are talking about? we are talking about probation officers who are social workers, who are trained social workers, because majority of probation officers are supposed to be trained social workers. Or if not from social work background, they're supposed to be from a psychology background or a sociology background. So essentially, we are talking about people who have some understanding of human behavior. So within this range, our job as probation officers is to focus on those who are in need of support, who are in need of help, or on those who are willing to reflect upon their life and are willing to change their lifestyle. These are the two broad categories with whom we would like to interact as probation officers. Now, if we are talking about this group, so let us make it more clear. We are talking about people coming from a marginalized background, coming from an offense background, which is not very, very serious offenses, coming from a family background, which there are lots of problems, either in terms of income or in terms of conflicts at home. And we are talking about people with educationally who are not very high up in the ladder. Now, if this is the category we are talking about, what are the likely kind of problems that these people are likely to face once they come out from prison and even while they are in prison? So I have divided my presentation into two parts. One is the kind of problems that they are likely to face while they are in custody, and the other is the kind of problems that they are likely to face after they are released from prison. So when we talk about the first category, that is people who are released, who are still in custody, we can look at the problems in terms of 5 or 6 categories of problems. The first one would be problems related to legal aid and guidance. A lot of people in prison, particularly those about whom I am referring to right now in this lecture, are people who may not know much about what is the case all about. Some of them may not even know what the charges are against them. Some of them may not know whether charge sheet has been filed or not. Some of them may have a lawyer, but may not know what the lawyer is doing in the court. Some of them are those who may not have a lawyer. Some of them may not even know whether they are in a bailable offense or a non-bailable offense. So a whole lot of problems which are related to the legal side or the legal aspect. This is one set of problems that prisoners will have. The second set of problems would be with regard to their health and mental health. A lot of people who come into prison come with various kinds of health vulnerabilities because of their life situation prior to their arrest. So they may be suffering from TB, they might be having HIV, they might be having skin problems, they might be having other kinds of infections. They might be, a case of diabetes or blood pressure or heart ailments, kidney problems, etc., etc. This is the physical side of it. There are also problems relating to mental health aspects, and these are problems that may have come before imprisonment as well as during imprisonment. While a person is in custody, they may develop various kinds of mental health aspects. So health and mental health issues are another set of problems that a prisoner might face. Then the third area would be with regard to family problems and family support. Many of them, because they come from very difficult family backgrounds, their children left outside might be in a very vulnerable state and may require support. Or they might be situations in the family, could be land disputes, could be property disputes, could be other kinds of problems between siblings, rivalry going on or conflicts going on in the house. And because of that, there could be a whole lot of problems that they are facing with regard to their family. Then one can talk about problems with regard to education, recreation, and livelihoods supports. Many of the people who are coming into the prison are coming from the non-formal sector, which means that they do not have necessarily formal skills to be able to get jobs in the formal sector. So most of them would be in the non-formal sector, which means that they don't have any proper skills based on which they can earn a good and a decent income and decent conditions of work. Many of them would have come from work backgrounds where the work background itself was exploitative, where there was a presence of child labor, or where there was presence of some kind of bondedness, or where there were harsh working conditions and things of that sort, violence at the workplace. So there are problems with regard to livelihood related issues. There are also, as I said, their educational background being poor, large numbers of them may require educational support and also library support of having access to some kind of books and a library to improve their educational background. Then there could be issues relating to being influenced by gang members within the prison culture, what is called as the prison subculture, and therefore a need to separate them from different categories of prisoners. So if we see, these are broadly the kind of issues and problems that might be faced by a prisoner when they first enter the prison. Now let us look at the kind of problems that might be faced by people after they are released from prison. Now, after they are released from prison, one of the first issues that a prisoner might have to face is the problem of shelter. There could be a group of prisoners or a category of prisoners who don't know where to go even to spend the first night outside. In fact, काफी सारे prisoners ने ये जिनके साथ हम लोगों ने काम किया है, they have talked about this. What do? We don't, when we come out of prison, कहाँ जाएं? किसके पास जाएं? Particularly if they don't have family support. You know? There's like, you'll probably have to sleep under the sky. So shelter becomes a very important issue for a lot of people coming out from a prison background, because even if they came with family support, the stigma of imprisonment makes it difficult for them to return to their families. And even after they return to their families, they may face a lot of problems, because of which you find that after having gone back into the family, sometimes you find the prisoner leaves their family. वो अपना घर छोड़ के निकल जाते हैं काम की तलाश में या किसी बहाने, लेकिन असली कारण ये होता है कि उनको जो सोशल स्टिग्मा फेस करना पड़ता है, जिसके वजह से वो अपने घर छोड़ देते हैं. So shelter can be a major problem that people might face when they come out from prison. The second aspect that I would propose before you is the issue of the lack of emergency supports. We all of us, when we fall into any kind of emergency, we have family and friends and relatives to go to. So say, for example, COVID has struck us, and we all know what devastation COVID has caused to all of us. And we also know about this phenomenon called COVID orphans, which means that we are talking about families where children have lost either both the parents or they have lost one parent, single parent. Now, there is a growing body of information about the fact that these children are in a very vulnerable circumstances. And we have read stories in the newspapers about trafficking of these children for adoption purposes or for child labor purposes, or even for sexual exploitation purposes. And the governments, state governments across the country are now trying to deal with this problem. They have come up with schemes of providing financial support to these families, etc., etc. Now, the point that I'm trying to make is, not every child who has lost either both their parents or their single parent is going to be in need of these services and supports that the state governments are trying to come up with. Only those children whose already the family situation was poor, already the family situation was weak, these are the children who are going to be in need of these services. So similarly, because many of these children would probably now be living with their relatives, or they might be living with some distant family, or the family condition might be good enough for the larger family to be able to take care of these children. I'm myself aware of cases where, despite the fact that the parents have gone because of COVID, the larger family has taken over and they are taking care of those children. But that is because the overall family situation is good. Similarly, there would be many prisoners when they come out from prison, if they come from a family which is more or less decent enough for them to take care of their emergencies, there will be no problem. But there will be a category of prisoners who will need emergency assistance. Emergency assistance means even, for example, a set of clothes to wear or a pair of chappals to wear when you come out from jail. काफी सारे लोग जब जेल से बाहर निकलते हैं तो उनके पास एक जोड़ी चप्पल नहीं रहता, एक जोड़ी कपड़े नहीं रहते उनके पास, और उस वक्त उनको इमीडिएट सपोर्ट देने की बहुत जरूरत है। इट कुड बी इवन इन टर्म्स ऑफ द मेडिकल प्रॉब्लम्स, कि जब तक वो जेल में थे तब तक तो उनका मेडिकल हेल्थ प्रॉब्लम जेल डिपार्टमेंट के तौर इट वाज गेटिंग टेकन केयर ऑफ। बाहर निकलने के बाद वो हेल्थ सिस्टम को नेगोशिएट कर पाना, पब्लिक हॉस्पिटल में जाना, वहां पे उनको अपनी ट्रीटमेंट लेना, इसमें उनके प्रॉब्लम्स हो सकते हैं। सो सम काइंड ऑफ मेडिकल सपोर्ट और reimbursement of medical bills. So there could be, or even for example, paying for house rent for 1 month till they are able to find a job. So there is a period after release from prison till the person settles down in their own life. बीच का एक पीरियड है 2-3 महीने का जब उनको इमरजेंसी असिस्टेंस और इमरजेंसी सपोर्ट की जरूरत होगी। This is the second kind of problems that one might face when one comes out of prison. The third set of problems that one might face is with regard to courts and the police. If their cases are still going on in court, they would require legal support for the case to go on and to be able to, a lawyer to be able to, who will defend them when the cases are going on in court, and particularly if they're out on bail. And in the case of police, we have often seen that people get harassed by the police, picked up on suspicion, इंक्वायरी के लिए उनको बुलाते हैं, राउंड अप के लिए बुलाते हैं, कोई फेस्टिवल होता है तब उनको 151 प्रिवेंटिव डिटेंशन के अंडर 24 आवर्स के लिए बंद कर देते हैं, या एरिया में कुछ अगर कुछ क्राइम हो गया तो उनको राउंड अप करके पुलिस स्टेशन में बुलाया जाता है, फिर उनको बार बार उनके साथ इंटरोगेशन होती है, कभी कभी उनके ऊपर फॉल्स केसेस भी डाले जाते हैं। दिस इज हैपनिंग बिकॉज उनके ऊपर कोई प्रोटेक्ट करने वाला नहीं है जो उनकी तरफ से बात कर सके। सो देयर इज एन अजम्पशन इन द पुलिस माइंडसेट कि जिसने पहले क्राइम किया है वो कंटिन्यूस वही क्राइम करने वाला है, रिपीटर होने वाला है, एंड देयरफॉर दे नीड सम काइंड ऑफ अ सपोर्ट विद रिगार्ड टू पुलिस हैरेसमेंट आफ्टर रिलीज। सो वी हैव टॉक्ड अबाउट शेल्टर, वी हैव टॉक्ड अबाउट इमरजेंसीज, वी हैव टॉक्ड अबाउट कोर्ट एंड पुलिस रिलेटेड वर्क। देन वी कम टू फैमिली सपोर्ट and counseling with families, because remember, a person has gone to jail has definitely impacted the family relations. उनके परिवार के साथ जो उनके रिश्ते हैं वो जरूर उन पे इम्पैक्ट हुआ है, और अगर उसको टाइमली तरीके से अटेंड नहीं किया गया तो हो सकता है कि वो रिश्ते और वो रिलेशंस और भी बिगड़ सकते हैं, and the person might reach a stage when he or she may have to leave their families. So this is with regard to family support. Then we come to an area which is most important from a rehabilitation point of view, and that is to do with livelihoods. It is going to be very difficult for this person to find a job or to be able to get back on their own feet without some kind of social supports. And so they might require support in terms of training, in terms of helping them to get information about where jobs are available, in terms of maybe able to give them some kind of a support to start self-employment, if they are capable of self-employment, etc., etc. So there's a whole area of work when it comes to livelihood support and livelihood training. Then there is the issue of addictions. A lot of people who are in a crime is because they have some addiction, could be drug addiction or under control, because they don't have any place unless they are able to corrupt the officials and get some amount of drugs. Most of the people would be under control, but when they come out, then they go back to that same area from where they had picked up this habit of addiction, and it is possible that they can go back into addiction and can get sucked into the world of addiction. So it is very important that they are able to be given services which will help them to get out of addiction, either in terms of detox facilities or in terms of rehabilitation. Lastly, but most importantly, is also the issue of relationships. Very often, even if one is able to find a job, even if one is able to find shelter, there still is an issue of not being able to find relationships in life which will sustain the person's life. हम सब अपनी अपनी जिंदगी में जब हम अपनी तरफ देखते हैं तो हमें ये चीज दिखाई देता है कि हमें जो बांध के रखते हैं अपनी लाइफ में वो है हमारे रिश्ते। और रिश्ते सिर्फ हम अपनी फैमिली की बात नहीं कर रहे हैं, रिश्तों का मतलब है हमारे दोस्त, रिश्तों के मतलब है कि हमारी लार्जर कम्युनिटी जिनके साथ हमारी एक बॉन्डिंग होती है, ये रिश्ते को फिर से जोड़ना, उनको फिर से बांधना, ये भी एक रिहैबिलिटेशन प्रोसेस का, इट्स अ पार्ट ऑफ द होल rehabilitation process. So I have tried to summarize in a short span of time what are the kind of problems that a prisoner might face. I am not saying that every prisoner will face these problems. I'm not even saying that every prisoner will face all these problems. But this is the range of issues and problems that a prisoner may face or is likely to face, particularly if he or she comes from a difficult family background or from a poor financial background. So keeping this as our framework, now we talk about the issue of interdepartmental coordination. Okay, so if we are to prevent the person from going back to crime, if we are to prevent the phenomenon of recidivism, then we have to look at what is the role of the government in preventing this kind of a phenomenon to take place. And my understanding is 90% of it is not going to require additional resources. The main additional resource that is required in the rehabilitation process is the presence of the social worker or the presence of the probation officer. The probation officer becomes the link between state, society, and the prisoner and the released prisoner and his family and her family. Okay? So it's the main person involved in this entire process is the probation officer. But resources are already available within the state in the different departments that we are talking about. But the problem is that each department works in their own silos. So say, for example, we look at the Department of Employment and Self-Employment. Now, the Department of Employment and Self-Employment is supposed to provide training and is supposed to provide employment support, is supposed to provide maybe some kind of scheme under which some self-employment financial support is given to people who are in need of it. Okay? Now, when they are operating, they don't have prison in their mind or prisoners in their mind when they are reaching out to this population. They are reaching out to the so-called normal population. And what is that normal population? People living in slums or people living from the lower socioeconomic society or people living in the rural areas from the BPL category, etc., etc. So what becomes the problem is the scheme is there. There is a person who is in need of the scheme, but there is nobody to connect that person with that scheme. So here the role of the probation officer comes in, that the probation officer is actually playing the role of the connector between the different departments. So let us look at which are the different departments that could be important from a point of view of the rehabilitation of prisoners. Firstly, we could look at the Department of Public Health, because public health has a lot to do in terms of reaching services to the persons in custody and outside custody. So this would mean whether it is possible. So in Maharashtra, for example, with the help of the Public Health Department and a work that we have been able to do through Prayas and then finally some advocacy, and it has now come out that a circular has been issued by the Department of Health, the Director of Health Services, that the civil hospital will provide a panel of doctors consisting of one general practitioner, one pediatrician, one gynecologist, one skin specialist, and one psychiatrist or psychiatric social worker, a panel of 5 doctors who would visit the jail once a week for 2 hours. This arrangement that has been made by a circular that has been issued by the Director of Health Services, and it is addressed to the civil surgeons of all the districts of the state of Maharashtra. Now, for something like this to be done, it does not cost any money. No new post has been created. Within the existing infrastructure, only a small addition has been made, whereby a panel of doctors will visit the jail on a weekly basis. This is one example of interdepartmental coordination. Another example, again with the health department, of interdepartmental coordination has been that in prisons of Maharashtra, they have started the system of telemedicine. What it means essentially is that if there is a prisoner in prison and the doctor inside the prison has some doubt in terms of further tests or in terms of further clarifications, they can get in touch with the civil hospital and contact the civil hospital through the process of video conferencing. And the patient can also be shown through this process and some kind of treatment can be given. If in the opinion of the doctor, it does not require the person to be taken physically from the prison to the nearest civil hospital. So some of the ailments can be taken care of through this method. Similarly, when it comes to producing under trials through the video conferencing system, there has been a High Court ruling in Maharashtra, in Bombay High Court ruling. Of course, it's not being implemented properly. The High Court ruling says that whenever an under trial is being produced through video conferencing, 2 lawyers from the District Legal Services Authority should be present inside the jail, so that if the under trial wants to say something to the court, or if the under trial wants to write an application and submit it to the court through the video conferencing, the DLSA lawyer sitting there will help the person to draft those applications or will guide the person how to draft the application. Now, this wonderful innovation by the courts themselves is unfortunately not being implemented properly, but that's a different matter. But this is again an example of interdepartmental coordination, whereby the legal services has to coordinate with the prison department. So what I'm suggesting is that essentially, if you look at the life of a prisoner and the life of a released prisoner, in terms of government departments, it can be divided into the following departments. One is the Department of Prisons, of course. Then police, because police has to do with arranging for escorts to take prisoners to court or to take them to a hospital. Also, police is involved when a person gets released from prison and can be rearrested on suspicion. So prisons, police, Department of Law and Judiciary, the State Legal Services Authority, Department of Women and Child Development, Department of Social Justice, Department of Education, Department of Libraries, Department of Health, and the Municipal Corporation or the Zilla Parishad. All these departments have something to do when it comes to the life of a prisoner or the life of a released prisoner. But they are all working in their individual silos, and they are not aware, or they are not sensitized, or they don't have the time to attend to the problems of this population. Now, if there is a coordination committee, this is what I'm suggesting, and I'm happy that policymakers are also part of this webinar today. So whether it is the secretary or whether it is the IG prisons, etc., my suggestion would be that a state level interdepartmental committee should be formed. That committee may be headed by the Home Secretary, or it may be headed by the IG prisons. And it should have representatives from all these departments that I mentioned just now: Women and Child, Public Health, Law and Judiciary, Police, Education, Libraries, Social Justice, and a Municipal Corporation or Zilla Parishad. These are the different departments that should be part of this committee. And this committee should meet at least once in 6 months, so that all the problems that are being faced at the ground level, and the problems that are being faced at the ground level, either by prisoners or by released prisoners, who is the people who would be likely to know about these problems? They would be either the prison officials or the probation officers. These are the two sources of information. So prisoner के life में क्या problem चल रहा है, या released prisoner के life में क्या problem चल रहा है, इसको सामने लाने वाला व्यक्ति कौन है? या तो वो prison officer है, prison superintendent है, jailer है, या तो वो probation officer है या district probation officer है. इनको जानकारी इसलिए है क्योंकि वो जमीन से जुड़े हुए हैं, वो रोजमर्रा के प्रॉब्लम्स को देख रहे हैं और उनको उसके बारे में क्या सोल्यूशन है वो भी शायद उनके नजर में आ रहा है. So what is required is a committee at the state level, which is represented by all these different departments, and it meets once in 6 months, where issues from the field are collected and they are put together by, let's say, the chief probation superintendent of the state. So every 6 months, the chief probation superintendent can call for a report from the district probation officers of all the districts to say ki, what are the kind of problems that are currently being faced by prisoners and released prisoners. And all of that can be put together in the form of a note, and that note can be presented before this committee, which is a policy level body. And this committee can then discuss what are these problems and what is the way to solve that problem, whereby there can be interdepartmental coordination. So this example I gave of telemedicine, it came from one of the meetings of the State Interdepartmental Committee in Maharashtra, where we are a member as a non-official member. So we are playing that role currently of bringing issues from the ground to the notice of the policymakers, and then there are discussions taking place within them, and then some practical solution is brought out from this process. The same thing I am also suggesting should be there at the district level. So I am suggesting coordination committee at 2 levels. One is a coordination committee at the level of the state, which is headed by senior officials from all these departments. The other is I am suggesting a coordination committee at the district level. Now, who should be chairing the coordination committee at the district level? In my opinion, it should be chaired by the principal district and sessions judge. The principal district and sessions judge can be the chairperson of this committee, and this committee can have the district probation officer as the member secretary of the committee. And the committee should consist of the jail superintendent, the district superintendent of police, SP, the DLSA secretary, the district health officer, the district education officer, the district women and child development officer, and the district social justice officer, and one representative of the municipal corporation of the Zilla Parishad. All these people should meet once every 3 months. So the state level committee should meet once in 6 months, and the district level committee should meet once in 3 months. Here, the job of collecting all the information and the problems that are being faced should be the job of the district probation officer. The DPO should collect all that information by talking to all the different departments, and by also knowing what the reality is, by interacting with the prison staff, by interacting with the prisoners, by interacting with the released prisoners. They will come to know what are the problems that are existing at the district level. And then they will call for a meeting every 3 months where the agenda is fixed beforehand. The issues are identified, that these are the issues that we are talking about. Say, for example, that escorts are not being provided by the police for taking prisoners to court. Okay. Now, this problem can be discussed in the district interdepartmental committee, because the district SP is sitting there and the jail superintendent is also sitting there, and they are both before a person who in terms of hierarchy is higher than them, which is the principal district judge. So both parties can say what they have to say, and through that process, some kind of a practical solution can be taken out. Like, for example, there was a solution that was taken out in one of the districts, that if there is a shortage of police escort, then the arresting police station can be made responsible to provide for police escort. That way, the whole load of providing police escort can be reduced. So like this, simple solutions can be brought out by the people sitting there, and the district probation officer becomes the coordinating person between all these different departments to be able to come out with a solution. In my opinion, coordination is the essence of the rehabilitation process. Today, we are not able to achieve the objective of rehabilitation to the fullest extent because there are gaps in the system, and most of the gaps in the system are because of lack of coordination between different departments, because the schemes are there, the policies are there, the financial allocation is there. The only problem is that this group is invisible to the policymakers. This group is invisible to the different line departments. And someone has to do the job of making this group visible to the line departments. And that job can be the job of the probation department at the district level as well as at the state level. So I will stop here. We have about 15 minutes left for 1 o'clock I'm supposed to speak till 1 o'clock. And if there are any issues, questions, comments, agreements, disagreements, I would be very happy to receive your thoughts. Thank you.
Can I make a submission?
Sure, sure, sure.
I am Soumya Narayanan, probation officer from Tirupur district, Tamil Nadu. On the other issues Professor spoke about, no doubts, no questions. It was more than, I can't use the word good because I'm too inexperienced and too small before him. But as of now, we have a portion or apportioning of funds under ICPS run by Department of Social Defense. But what difficulties we actually face is we are unable to enter, can I use the word penetrate, the other departments like social welfare, which has some sort of social defense mechanisms for women prisoners, some sort of financial assistance. As far as ICPS is concerned, they have included prisoners' children as one of the beneficiaries. Out of every 10, at least they allocate funds for 2 children. Though not, I couldn't do much, but my colleague at Vellore, when we were there, he had secured such assistance for children of 2 prisoners. Instead of prisoners, or in addition to prisoners, we may also bring in ex-prisoners in that ICPS. They need not go towards great big private schools. Government schools are far and good to go in. They can provide some financial assistance, not only under ICPS. There are other departments like rural development, Panchayat Raj, social defense, social welfare, and Sir pointed out industries and commerce, social justice. There also we can make, or we can try to make some apportioning or mandatory provision for the lower strata of the society. The prisoners are generally considered the last step of the ladder.
Right.
Either from the bottom or from the top. And
Right.
they are the most neglected people in the criminal judicial system or criminal justice administration. We may think of getting it. And as a matter of pride for Tamil Nadu alone, I do not know about the other states, there is a system running here called Tamil Nadu Discharged Prisoners Aid Society, who try to bring about some sort of financial assistance to prisoners based on their needs. It's not a flat out system. One may require some financial assistance for auto. The DPAs is running on voluntary contributions, which range about 100 rupees or 200 rupees and nothing more. They've got their assets from which they generate revenue. My suggestion, if we can make contributions to the DPAs eligible under section 80G, probably we may canvass for CSR funds, which the companies may give some amount and also take the benefit of tax rebates. If CSR can be pitched in for these kind of people, say 50,000 per prisoner based on his requirement, not a flat amount. They did not be given 50,000 in cash. They may waste it or they may spend it on some other thing. The probation officers, if we generally investigate the requirement based on the request submitted by the prisoner and look about their financial status, look about their eligibility. Do they have a license to drive at least 4-wheelers so that they can be provided with auto rickshaws? Or if they are a little less educated, petty shops, tiffin shops, and we submit a report to the DPS, which in turn allocates these funds or gives them the assistance in kind rather than cash. Only in those cases where the kind is not available, they provide some cash. This can be integrated with the prisons department so that the prisons department, we are there to take care of these people. we may be, or the other departments, apart from DPS is now under the eyes of Prisons Department, the other departments may be approached to include running life serving convicts as well as ex-convicts for any little financial assistance given to the families of the convicts. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Soumyanarayan, very, very important points that you have made. But the point that I was trying to make was that the efforts that now you are having to make by individually approaching the different departments. So you have to approach WCD or you have to approach social justice. Some of them are responding, some of them was not responding. To overcome that problem is where I'm suggesting that there is a need for an interdepartmental coordination committee for prisoners, both at the district level and at the state level, in which the probation department will play a very important role of coordination, because I'm seeing it as the fulcrum of this coordination system.
Yes.
So the probation officer, the DPO at the district committee, and the chief probation superintendent at the state level committee will actually be the person who will bring the issues to the table. Just like you just now pointed out that, ICPS has extended its services to prisoners, but social justice has not done it. Now you have this information, but the prison officer does not have this information. The police does not have this information. Who has this information? It is the probation officer who has this information. And therefore it becomes important that the probation department becomes the coordinator of this committee. It is chaired by a senior officer, but definitely it should be coordinated by somebody from the probation department. And that might help in solving some of these problems. Thank you.
Yes, agreed, sir, agreed.
Namaskar, sir. Myself, Jaiprakash Das.
Namaskar.
Hello. Namaskar, sir. From Inspectorate of Prison, sir. You have, sir, given so many inputs and suggestions, valuable suggestions, and actually a roadmap for us, because we have not yet proceeded in this regard, rather thinking about proceeding towards this. The subject of rehabilitation after their release and giving some kind of aftercare. And just 2 days back, we had a Chintan Shivir with our Home Secretary, sir. A point came there of grants given to them or something like that, having some kind of society, and making some kind of a statute also, having some kind of funds, because this kind of departmental coordinations and helps are, of course, they are available in quite a lot, but that can be cumbersome, that can be sometimes their need may not be, the particular kind of need may not be met by some other department. So the readiness, there must be some kind of readiness within our ambit, within the scope of our prison department. So we felt that we are feeling actually, and that is more important if the government, we don't have any kind of, so far, any kind of legality about it, but we think that we should have some kind of fund arrangement within our department also. And for that kind of, we need to have, we presently are trying to get different provisions that may we incorporate. We may go about, say, creating some kind of scheme or something that we don't have any example right now. For just now, I took the note of Swaminarayan's Prisoner Aid Society in Tamil Nadu. I have taken the copies from him. I have received the copies, and I will go through it. But there is that's kind of a contribution system there. Perhaps the government is not contributing quite a lot in that. So there are so many discrepancies and so many problems we face in different parts of our country. So what should we do here right now? Because as we are planning to go ahead, and your suggestions will be really very remarkable. And if we can get some kind of help in this regard in formulating our program, then will really be very beneficial for us. For example, our Home Secretary sir pointed out about loan component and grant component while providing some money to their assistance. So there are so many, there may be so many points that can be incorporated while making some kind of a scheme towards their rehabilitation. So just we are trying to have some kind of real help and material help, and you will be a great source of inspiration. You are, of course, you are a source of inspiration for us, sir. And if you can formulate with your help, then that will be very nice of you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. I would be most happy to be of any help to your department. Just a short point to make. Apart from the DPAs that Soumya Narayan has spoken about, many of the state governments also have schemes for rehabilitation of prisoners. So Maharashtra, for example, has a scheme called Grant in Aid to Release Prisoners, under which they give a grant of up to 25,000 rupees. And the annual budget has just recently been increased from 12 lakhs per annum now to 1 crore. And this has happened again because of a High Court ruling in which we were involved in some way. So now there are at least 400 cases every month, every year, where released prisoners can get assistance under that scheme. Because if you divide 25,000 rupees into divided by 1 crore, you get about 400 cases. So that's a good number. Earlier, it used to be about 50 cases a year, which was really nothing compared to the population of prisoners who are being released every year. This is one. Two is, I would strongly recommend if you can discuss this with IG sir as well as with the Home Secretary about the formation of this interdepartmental coordination committee that I have referred to here. It would really help, because it is very important to get all the stakeholders on the same table. Currently, what happens is everyone is doing their own work in their respective departments, but they are not aware of the interconnections that are required, and someone can take of bringing them all together, and that role can be played by the probation department. But other than that, if there are any suggestions that you require from us, I would be most happy to be part of it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. We have in Bihar DLMC, District Level Monitoring Committee, in the chairmanship, under the chairmanship of District and Session Judge, where all the officers of different departments, but presently excluding probation officers, though somewhere probation officers are being called to attend the meeting.
So probation officer has to be part of this, according to me.
Yes, sir. Of course, sir. They need to be. If you want to go in this kind of direction, then I think the DLMC should have the mandate of taking into account this kind of agenda in their meeting, and only then they would like to incorporate it.
Exactly.
They presently they don't have the agenda that you have raised here, sir.
Yes.
The DLMC doesn't include this agenda so far. It's not.
Correct.
And if this happens, then DLMC will be the right process, and that sits monthly, sir, in Bihar.
Okay.
But in the state level, on the state level, we'll need to have some kind of a statute for formulating this committee. Of course.
It should actually be done through the some kind of a government notification.
Now, government notification.
Yes.
Some kind of resolution from the present department.
GR hona chahiye uske liye.
Sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone, and for participating in this discourse, very lively discourse. And particularly Raghavan sir's speech. We have always been, and he has become so much familiar with us now. And he's so motivating. He has been remaining motivating for us. And other participants from other states. And it's lunchtime now. We'll meet again at 3 p.m. And so have a break, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Very good
Thank you.
afternoon, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you.